All right, now for topic 2, we're going to be factoring polynomials. So we always need to start with checking for a common greatest common factor first, and then we can use your X puzzle, or you can use this box method over here. So this is kind of a breakdown of our X puzzle. A times C, or just your C is up here if A is 1, and then your factors on the left and the right of the X. Your middle term, B, is down here. And we want factors. These are things we're multiplying together to get what's at the top, and then we add those same factors to get what's at the bottom, the B. So here's an example. So here our A is an invisible 1, so that's why 1 times 9 is just 9 there. So we have 9 at top in the B, the middle term, that 10x, the 10 is at the bottom. Our factors are 1 and 9, because 1 times 9 gives me 9, and 1 plus 9 gives me 10. All right, so you have to multiply first, and then add. Now you could also use this box method is using the GCF. So what we do is we put the first term, the 2x squared, in the first box, and our last term here in the bottom left, the 10, and we're trying to come up with our factors we can multiply, our terms we can add up to give us our 9x. So what they did is they did 5x and 4, gave us 9x. And then they did a GCF of each row. So like if I look at just at the first row, the term that they have in common is a 2 and an x, which is why they took the 2x out. And do that for the second row. Between the two, they have a 5 in common. So kind of think of it like this, the Punnett square we did back in the day when you were in biology. All right, GCF of your row, GCF of your each column here, and that's our factors. What's on the outside here would be our factors. So this would say x plus 2, and this would be 2x plus 5. Okay. So we're going to use one of these methods to factor your polynomial. Now on this first one, you always check for a GCF first. And you look at each term and see if they have anything in common. Here, what they all have in common is an n. So we're going to divide each term by n. That's the GCF. So I'm just going to write GCF is n. And that GCF, the n, is what goes outside the parentheses. And we're going to divide each term and simplify this. So inside, n to the third power divided by n, we subtract just like n to the first. So 3 minus 1 is going to give me n squared. Then minus 5n. And then minus, because the n's will cancel here, 50. And now, let me fix that, sorry, minus 15. And now I'm going to focus on this trinomial. So the first thing we did was a GCF. The second thing we're going to do now that we have a quadratic trinomial is we're going to try the X puzzle. So I'm going to set up that X puzzle. I'll do it underneath here. And in the X puzzle, the negative 50 is going to go on top, and the negative 5 is going to go on the bottom. Sorry, that keeps doing this. And then what we're doing is coming up with our factors, numbers we multiply to get a negative 50. Well, because I see a negative 50, a negative sign here, the only way I can get a negative product is one is negative, one is positive. So this is going to give me a negative 10 and a positive 5. So we keep the n outside the parentheses. My first parentheses, we got two binomials here. It's going to be n minus 10. And then the second one, we're going to have n plus 5. And then this would be my final answer. And that's showing factoring the polynomial. So on number 6 here, again, we have a GCF. So we want to first always check for that GCF. And now that we have coefficients here, I always just look at the smallest one. So here we have a 4, and you check to see, can 4 go into 8? Yes. Can 4 go into 24? Yes. So we know 4 works, and then we check the variables, the letters. And if I look, x to the 4th, to the 3rd, to the second power, that means they have an x in common as well. An x squared, you take out the smallest one. So this is, my GCF is 4x squared. So I'm dividing each term by that GCF, and I'm putting that GCF outside the parentheses. So when I simplify this, 8 divided by 4, that's a 2, and x to the 4th divided by x squared is going to give me 2x squared. Here, the 4's cancel, and then I'm just 3 minus 2 is going to leave me with an x. My minus sign here, 24 divided by 4 is going to leave me at 6, and the x squares are going to cancel. So I really have, just fix this, 2x squared minus x minus 6. Now I'm going to do the x puzzle. Okay, the second thing is we're going to do our x puzzle to factor. So we have a negative 6 up top. This middle term, that's like an invisible 1, so that's a negative 1. So we're coming up with factors of a negative 6. Oh, wait, sorry. Apologize. It's not a negative 6 because we have a coefficient. Sorry, I jumped ahead. Apologize. Let me slow down. We have this number in front of the x squared. That's, remember, if we go back up here, it's supposed to be AC, and A is the coefficient. So we're doing 2 times a negative 6, which is a negative, actually up top, and a negative 4, let's see, negative 1 at the bottom. So our B is still going to be the negative 1. So we want factors of a negative 12, come up with a negative 1 as a sum. That would be negative 4 and a positive 3. So our 4x squared is going to stay on the outside. And then what we have is x minus 4 and an x plus 3. And because we multiplied by 2, we slide over and then we multiplied, we're going to have to divide each factor by 2 to simplify it. So this is when we have to remember bottoms up if it cannot be reduced. So if I look here, this 4 divided by 2 can be reduced. So that's going to be x minus 2. Sorry. 3 over 2, that cannot be reduced. 3 cannot be divided by 2. So this is when we do bottoms up. So that comes to the front of the x and becomes 2x and then plus 3. And then this is factoring the complete final answer of factoring the polynomial. So sorry about that. Don't forget, we use this a times c anytime we have an a coefficient in front of the x squared. So if you look at number 7 here, I have a coefficient, but remember, I want to check for a GCF. That's the first thing we're doing first. GCF. And there's a GCF. They have 2 in common, so we can divide everything by 2. So this will become w squared plus 19w plus 70. And now I'm going to my x puzzle with the 70 and 19 and looking for my factors, which would be 5 and 14. So we have 2 parentheses w plus 5, and then open parentheses w plus 14. Okay. Now, on our last one here, there is no GCF. Okay. There's nothing they have in common here, so we have no GCF. So that's when we have to go to that coefficient and slide and multiply. Okay. So we had no GCF. I'm just going to make a comment about that. So we want to slide the coefficient, multiply, and then at the very end, we will end up dividing. Slide, multiply, divide. So when I slide, I'm doing this 6 times the -4. So in my X puzzle, I'm going to get -24. I don't know why it keeps doing that. And then the middle term here is a -5. Oops. So I'm doing my factors of 24 with a sum of 5, or -5, excuse me. That would be -8 and +3. All right, so this becomes x minus 8 parentheses x plus 3 because we multiply, we have to do this last thing, which is divide. Oops, not by 2, sorry. Divide by 6. Okay. Now, 6 cannot go into 8, but this can be reduced. Actually, both can. All right, so we want to reduce it if it's a fraction. So this is 8 minus 4/3. And this is 8 plus 1/2. And then we're going to do bottoms up. Put it in the binomial form. So this ends up being 3x minus 4. Again, bottoms up, 2x plus 1. All right. So that will take care of factoring polynomials. Just kind of do this next question here. Check your understanding online. All right, thanks.